to add a beautiful new child to your family through adoption, or you're deciding what to do after an unplanned pregnancy. Oftentimes you're left with more questions than answers.
And that's why the Adoption Authority is here to help set the record straight by offering options and a plethora of information. And joining us from the Adoption Authority is Tracy Riley. Thank you so much for being here. And the timing is appropriate of your visit since this week is National Infertility Week. So a lot of good information for people who have a child or are expecting a child, and they're wondering what they should do if they don't want to keep the child. I know that's hard for a lot of parents, you know, who are so passionate and love their children more than anything in the world. But before we get into what you guys offer, let's get through some basic definitions first. And you think this is important for people to understand and kind of set the stage. The first is birth parent, birth mother compared to an adoptive parent.
A birth mother is someone who finds herself pregnant with a crisis pregnancy or an unwanted pregnancy and is going to choose to place that child for adoption. An adoptive parent is someone who is seeking to adopt a child and expand their family through adoption.
And what would be considered an unwanted or a crisis pregnancy?
Someone who finds themselves unable to care for a child, unable to parent. Maybe there's financial concerns, maybe there's college plans that she really wants to pursue in her life, and she just is not able to parent that child.
So why would somebody who's going through a difficult time in their life, who doesn't have the ability or the means or the financial resources to take care of a child, why would somebody choose adoption?
Adoption is such a wonderful gift of life. It creates a life for your baby as opposed to the alternative. And birth parents can remain involved in the child's life as he or she grows, and they can remain in touch with that family and get to be a part of the life.
And there's millions of women out there that aren't able to conceive, that are in a great situation where they really are wanting to welcome somebody into their home. So it's a great alternative.
Infertility affects over 6 million women in the United States alone. So there are lots of women and families who would be able to appropriately parent a child.
So let's look at some of the success stories, because you sent us some pictures of some just beautiful babies. Who are we looking at here?
This is a little girl who the social worker from the hospital called me the day she was born and said the mother has delivered and she doesn't want to leave with her baby. Can you help? And so I immediately contacted a family in South Georgia, and we got that little girl adopted the next day.
Oh, bless your heart.
That's great.
And then this is you.
And this is me holding that baby, wondering, am I going to take this one home with me? But this is, I believe this is the same baby.
I bet that's hard. You want to adopt all of them.
All of them, I want to bring them home.
Certain of that.
This little girl on the right was adopted when she was 3 years old. Her mother called me. She was 18 at the time. She had been parenting for 3 years. And she said, you know what, Tracy, I just can't do this anymore, and I really need to place my child for adoption. And so we found a wonderful family on the West Coast that took this little girl in.
So let me ask you this then, leading into that, she had called you and asked you if you could help her find an adoptive family. Is the adoptive mother, meaning the mother that gave birth that now wants to adopt the baby, are they able to help choose the family that the baby goes to?
Yes, absolutely. They are completely in the driver's seat. They can pick the family based on religion or location, or if there's brothers and sisters, or if this is going to be an only child. Maybe they want family pets. So the parent that's choosing adoption is completely in the driver's seat and can pick that family.
You were saying earlier before this interview that there are a lot of myths about adoption. A lot of people might not be getting it right. Do you want to dispel some of those myths?
Absolutely. When a birth mother delivers her child, she is able to hold her baby, bond with her baby, feed that baby. The baby's not whisked away and never seen again. So open adoption is really what we advocate, if that's what everyone chooses, so that there can be a relationship as the child grows.
So based on that then, let me ask, does the mother ever change their mind after they've held the baby?
It depends on the state, but in the state of Florida, once that birth mother signs the paperwork, it's done, it's final, it's irrevocable.
And let's talk about, you know, obviously if you're going to choose adoption, you might want to do this sooner rather than later, because you want the child to be with their new family and be able to grow up with them. At what age do you think it becomes more difficult for a child to be placed with another family, as far as it might being more difficult for the child?
Probably anytime after 3, because that's when the kids really get their verbal skills. And so if we can place a child with a new family prior to 3, we're going to have the best rate of success.
Are there any costs involved for a mother that's giving up a child for adoption?
No, absolutely not. In fact, services are provided to her. Services like medical care and transportation and housing, college tuition, you know, based on what her future goals are. We provide as much services to her as possible.
And so your goal here really is to just give women an option. So
Yes.
if they, you know, you were mentioning that you knew of somebody who was pregnant when they were 14, you know, and just saying, you know, there are resources out there to be able to find these babies a home and
Right.
to give them the gift of life.
And there is no typical birth mother. We've had teenage birth mothers, we've had women who are married and parenting other children and just say, I can't parent another child right now.
Wow.
So there is no typical birth mother.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
what you
you.
do. Bless
Yes.
your heart for being
Thank
here. We
you.
really
Absolutely.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And we also want to thank the Adoption Authority for coming in and for sponsoring this segment. And if you would like more information, you can either log on to their website, which is there on your screen, www.theadoptionauthority.com, or you can call their 1-800 number at 1-800-747-5145.